Well, here we are then, qualifying underway. It's the Cadet Lightweight A's up first. First kart out on track in a competitive session for the days running. We have 20 karts competing in this session with just over 10 minutes to go on the clock, and now it's time to see how quick these drivers can go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a quick reminder of the formats for the cadets and for the juniors. They all start with a timed qualifying session, and the drivers have been drawn into groups A, B and C. Just a draw, random draw, nothing in terms of championship standings or known abilities for the drivers. It's purely get out there and beat whoever else is out on track. The times from these qualifying sessions will set the grids for the Pre-A, Pre-B and Pre-C finals. Obviously, all drivers want to get into that top race, that Pre-A race. To do so, they've got to be in the top 18 of the whole field. Now, we've just got about 60 drivers here today, haven't we, Reeve, for the cadets? So, by the law of averages, although we could have one group that's a good degree quicker than the other, again, with how the random draw plays into effect. But if we assume that all groups, Groups A, Group B, Group C, are going to be about the same average pace, really you need to be getting into the top 6 in one of these groups to be giving yourself a good shot at being in that top 18 and into those A-tier races straight away. This is why you're my maths man, Andrew. Always ready with the averages and showing us what our drivers need to be targeting in this session. So far the session being led by Ellis Cox at 50.29 for his fastest lap so far, and it's looking quite close already actually at that top end of the field, isn't it? It is. Good to see Ellis Cox back in Club 100 cadet action. Has not been an ever-present this year, but when he has been here, he's been very, very quick indeed. Because he's not been here at every single round, he's not a championship contender this year, but again, for the form that we know Ellis has had, he could be a real thorn in the side of some of those drivers that we were talking about earlier. Ellis Cox has had victories this year, took a double victory at Rowra 2 rounds ago. Appreciate as well, it's been a while since we've broadcast some Club 100 cadet and juniors. We've had rounds at Landau, home of champions. Hello to Henry Baudet if he's watching. If he's not, there you go. I mentioned it. I did call it the home and birthplace of champions. Well, I think there's another circuit that calls themselves the birthplace of champions that we've also been to this year. But no, Landau, Rowra, Warden Law have all hosted rounds ahead of this season finale. Cox did take that double victory at Rowra. Keep an eye on Aaron Fleischer as well, who's just gone up to 3rd place in this session, Reeve, and that's important for the number 6. Does have that 4-point advantage over Miles Harrison heading into today. A nice, solid qualifying will do. There is Aaron Fleischer in the red suit and the white helmet. Will do him nicely, calm the nerves a little bit, perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. This is an important phase of this session for Ellis Cox as well. We saw he'd set a high 49 just a couple of laps ago, then got some traffic to contend with. He's worked his way through that traffic now and has now been able to set a 49.2. Traffic management is going to be so important in this session. It's not very long, so we've got a decent circuit length. We've got plenty of karts out on track that are all going to be leaving the pit lane at the same time. They're going to be on the same part of the circuit for most of this session. Yeah, it's a really tricky circuit, Buckmore Park, to get your qualifying right. It's kind of a tale of two halves. You've got this top section of the circuit, almost classic karting circuit form, as Ellis Cox just pulls out the way there, trying to look for a better toe, and we'll come on to why that's an important thing in a moment. So these corners here, hairpin 1, hairpin 2, the S's, all very typical flat karting circuit fare until you get to here. Symes Sweep, brilliant corner, one of the best corners in British karting. Completely different dynamic, flowing corners, bit bumpy in places, physical part of the circuit as you flow downhill. And on a day like today as well, Reeve, where it's been chilly overnight, a bit of dew, the circuit changes at different rates. The bottom end of the circuit very open, dries out a little bit quicker. Top end of the circuit, especially with the shade from the trees, typically we see grip to be at a bit of a premium for this part of the circuit for the drivers. Here's the number 16 on your screens. This is Zane Perry. Zane Perry's had a very useful qualifying session so far. He's currently running in 3rd, going side by side with Asan Iqbal in the number 40. I just also want to shine a light on the 127 Reeve of Vinnie Cunningham on his debut in Club 100 Cadets. He's up in P6. That is a very impressive start for Vinnie Cunningham. So that is a great effort. 0.6 off the pace of Cox at the moment.
Yeah, that's going to be really happy going for him. He'll be very happy with that. I'm sure that confidence he'll be able to carry on throughout the day. Actually goes up into third now, 0.4 off the lead driver in this session. A mighty effort from Mr. Cunningham in the 127 kart. Yeah,
absolutely. There are quite a few new drivers today. Can often be the thing at the last round of the season as drivers have a go before winding up an effort for 2025. Registrations are open, by the way. There's been a lot of interest already, but if you're having a think and thinking, oh, maybe, shall we, get your entries in, because places are going quickly for the 2025 cadet and junior seasons. Changes, of course, splitting into, I say splitting, more growing into the Southern Championship. Very much going to be a similar fare to what we've seen this year, but obviously more based towards the south half of the country. And then the Northern Championships as well, visiting some of the circuits like we mentioned, Rowra, Warden Law, trying to give more opportunities to customers, to drivers, particularly in the north half of the country and up to Scotland, because especially driving down to a circuit like Buckmore Park, that's a bit of a trek.
It is, certainly. I found that on myself last night, trekking down all the way from Liverpool, but glad to be here nonetheless.
3.5 minutes of this session to go. Still Ellis Cox at the top of the timesheets on a, what is he doing at the moment? A 49.071. That's pretty spot on. I had a little look at the qualifying times from 12 months ago and what we could typically be expecting. Pole position in this category last year was Joao Castro on a 48.993. So it looks like the track is running at a pretty similar pace to 12 months ago. That's to be expected. The tarmac's not moved and the kart spec hasn't changed. If we're going by that basis, if drivers can be hitting a 49.5, that was the cut-off point last year to get straight into a pre-A final. To get into a pre-B final, 50.0.
It's Sector 2 for Alex Cox, which I think is making all of the difference here. He's looking very strong indeed. 14.2 seconds on that run through the S's and down the Symes sweep. So a mighty effort from him through that technical part of the lap. 2 minutes 20 to go. Now still leading the session. Logan Nichols makes a nice improvement as Matteo Ehrenfeuchter jumps up into the 49s. Low 149s, sorry. It's a 49.1. Ellis Cox, though, a 48.9, improving yet again.
Yeah, that is quicker than the pole time that we had in cadet lightweights last year. We saw Henry Greenwood a few moments ago having a bit of a wide moment out of paddock corner and through the Damon Hill kink. That is an area where drivers are going to need to be careful. It's a hot spot for track limits. The developments here at Buckmore Park to put the tarmac runoffs in a few years ago, as there's a classic example there, the number 16 just running a little bit too deep. That could come up as a track limit warning. In fact, Henry Greenwood did get a TLW last time around. If you get too many of those, you are subject to demotions on the grid that'll be in places, not time. 90 seconds remaining. Ellis Cox on good form at the moment. Was fourth in the final last time out at Warden Law, just off of the podium. I mentioned already that, of course, he had the win at Rowra. Also took the round win the last time we had some action on Alpha Live cameras. That was back at Wilton Mill in the summer. He also had a double win at Glanigor earlier on in the year. There is Zane Perry, third place at the moment, looking comfortable to be going through to the pre-A final as things stand. Should also give a shout out to Ben Beresford. Another good performance from someone who's new. Ben Beresford on debut, P13 at the moment. What's the lap time? We're out of 49.9. Well, that might be good for pre-B final based on last year's times. He's looking pretty good, but again, we could see some faster times in Groups B and Groups C, Reeve.
Yes, indeed. We had a chat with Ben Beresford actually in our in our paddock show, which you will see later on after qualifying. And yeah, exactly what he was hoping to achieve, really. He feels confidence at Buckmore. He was hoping to get a bit of a foot in the door with Club 100 at this round, so that seems to be going well for him so far.
Absolutely. One more lap to go for these drivers. That's why you can see a little bit of squabbling, because everyone wants the best track position for this last lap. Well, actually, no, I don't think they are going to get another lap in here, because the timer ticks over to 0. Checkered flag is out.
Drop. Yep.
Cox goes no quicker. Who's going to boost themselves right at the end? Jacob Chapregi's gone up to 8th place. That's going to be on the cusp of whether it's into pre-A final or not. The number 40 of Asan Iqbal, not too happy there, is P15. Anybody else? No, I don't think anyone's really improving. I think they've all slightly got in each other's way right at the end there, Reeve.
Yeah, traffic management, unfortunately, they're determining the end of that qualifying session. Yeah, no improvements as we all come across the line and get ready to bring an end to this session. Up next, it will be the Junior Group A qualifying.